Uh, we got interviews, different perspectives, interview. Listen and learn what winners do. Empirical wisdom.
All these 5 countries, you say? You just went to like...
That was a river cruise that we did.
Gotcha.
It was 5 countries, and you can. Lots of people, especially those who live in Florida,
Yeah.
they want to. A lot of people choose this place because they like the beach culture.
Yeah.
And then for vacations, what do? They go to Bahamas or to Puerto Rico or the Yucatan Peninsula. They go to other beaches,
Yeah.
Those places are great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I always thought if I want that, just drive to Clearwater or Miami or St. Pete Beach. Or,
absolutely.
You go to Europe or Asia to see things that you can't see here otherwise. And like you said, it's a beautiful world.
Yeah.
It's a great world. And when you go to different places, as you know, you get to see a lot of things that the United States does wrong, and also a lot of things that the United States does right.
Yes.
We have somewhat of a hustle culture here, and everyone talks about how bad the United States is, how maybe it's some sort of a reincarnation of the Roman Empire. We're always making war on the rest of the world, and yet somehow when you drive to these other countries, you get to these other countries, you fly there in an airplane, which is, of course, invented by the Wright brothers in 1903 here in America. You get around easily in a taxi or an Uber. That was made possible by an American, too, Henry Ford, who pioneered the mass production of vehicles so that everyone can have one. Your food is safer because someone in Detroit in about 1914 or so invented refrigerators. And it could be preserved a lot longer because another American company, GE, invented freezers that were widely available in the 1940s. So yes, everyone bashes America because of how warlike we are, how aggressive we are, how rude Americans can be, and I can tell you that's true. We're guilty as charged. But the rest of the world certainly enjoys innovations that are American. And not only that, this still remains the #1 destination of anyone who wants to leave other countries and go make money and create a better life for themselves and their families. You find that more in places like Mexico, Honduras, Brazil. Everyone wants to come up to you and ask how they can get into America. Places like France, Germany, Austria, not so much. By the way, these other countries where they're poor, and when they work harder and they hustle because they're hungry, just like you and your fighters, those people tend to be very interesting. You want them on your side. You want them on your team. They don't have a whole lot of fat on their body or their soul, for that matter. Have you been to Brazil before?
No, but I've had a lot of Brazilian friends.
Yeah, I mean, you go to Rio de Janeiro, for example, and Rio de Janeiro, the tourist area, which is like Copacabana Beach and Ipanema, which are probably some of the best beaches in the world, and that's really expensive property along those beaches. And I think, in my opinion, they're actually better beaches than Florida. And expensive condos, expensive resorts. And then you go back just a few blocks up the hillside and you've got this lawless slum. Some of the worst slums in the world. They're called the favelas, right? And the people from the favelas, they come down to the beach and they just walk up to you and offer to sell you all kinds of things. Sunglasses, souvenirs, soccer jerseys, food, alcohol, whatever you want. They just come up and they sell it to you and they have no fear. That sort of thing is looked down on here in America. That sort of thing will get you kicked off a beach here in America.
Yes.
But it's also the sort of thing that will make you rich. If these people will just come here and hustle like Americans are afraid to, they'll get rich. You can learn a lot from poorer people in other countries. You can learn a lot from your fighters, like the great Brandon here, and and all these other guys on your team, right? We've worked together. We've worked out together. I'm very appreciative for for you made me a better boxer and, a better man as a result of that. We talked about fight camp to fit camp, fight camp to fit camp, You've got all these great souvenirs all over the place. And I, too, have some championship belts from, they're collecting dust right now. But you know what I do with them? I take them and I put them above my refrigerator. The reason I do that is in case, sometimes you slack off after a fight. I put them above my refrigerator in case I'm tempted to go to the refrigerator and drink beer or eat things that are bad for me. And I look up at that belt and I remember the guy that won that. The guy that won that ain't hogging out on, bad food and alcohol.
You check yourself.
That's why you do it. Yeah. That's why you do it.
That's interesting, man, because I was in Australia and I went to Melbourne, and beautiful, beautiful place. And me and one of the fighters, this was for the UFC. We go into downtown, we walking around. He's looking for a barber, and he's asking the barber like, "Hey, okay, you guys do face? Do you guys do braids?" And and think about this, like we're in this beautiful casino resort, right? And we just happen to come out of the building and go right. And we go into downtown, right? So we going through the streets, we see all these beautiful things, we eat, things like that. And we end up going to the barbershop. And the guy's like, oh, okay, you guys do fades, what about braids? And they were like, no, we don't do braids here. For that, you have to go to the African section. We didn't even know that. So what it was like as you come out of the hotel, instead of going right, you go left. And as you start walking, like you go about 5-6 blocks down, and there's the African section. And that's where they do braids and things like that. It was pretty interesting, but that's how they function in the place. It kind of reminded me of New York City, like how segregated it can be. How like you throw a rock to the north and you find a certain group of people, to the left, the same thing. And that's how they function. So it kind of reminded me of that. But the people were beautiful out there, though.
Yeah.
Like they were pretty nice. And I think like what happens with a lot of Americans, we feel like the world is just like our country. Like, so the way we function here, everyone should function the same way. And, and when I was in Australia, like I was paying attention to like how they even use the words, because they don't say like, oh, I want that to go. It's like, oh, you want takeaway. So, and when you talk to them like that, then they embrace you differently. The one thing that I know is like in the US, we really big on space, personal space, and minding our own business. In other places, they very intrusive and they want to be like breathing on your shoulder,
Yeah.
And that's why it's kind of like they sometimes they can find Americans kind of like being rude. And obviously we also walk around with a chip on our shoulders because, we come from a great country in a sense. We have accessibility to so many things that other people don't have, We have things here that in other countries, like you got to be rich to have.
Right.
So and that's why that's why it's so important to travel, man, and not just to other countries, but around the U.S. Because a lot of people that, let's say they're being outside of Florida, they think that the rest of the U.S. is like Florida.
Right.
Or people up north, then they're not being out of their state, they think that the rest of the country is just like this state. And that's not how it works, Like everyone is so different. Like, and that's why every time the fighters and I we go out of town for fights, we always try to go to restaurants that we don't have here in Florida. Going back to the beach, like living in Florida and going to another beach, and that's what we try to do. We try to embrace their local culture and all the good things that they have out there, and kind of like get a feel for people too. They bring a lot of good things to the table as well. You learn a lot of things if you pay attention to them. It's pretty interesting. How long you been in West Tampa?
Since 2007.
Wow.
I built a house there, just a block from Tiger's World Gym. That gym where you guys all work out.
And you were in banking, right?
I was in banking for a long time. After I got out of the service, I was a stockbroker for a while, and then I wound up being a small business banker. And the interesting thing about banking is it gets you into everything. You get to see inside everybody's financial underwear, if you will. if someone comes in, then you can, you got their deposit history, you've got their balances, transaction history, everything. You can, their credit rating.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, after a while, it's like a doctor who's looked at so many x-rays that he can look at someone on the outside and almost can see what they're like on the inside. It's like you can see indicators of somebody's inner health by how they look on the outside. After a while, it's the same thing with businesses. Certain things that you can, after being able to see a financial X-ray, if you will, of all these different businesses, you learn to see a healthy business on the outside too. So between being a banker and a small business consultant, I've helped over 3,000 people start businesses, plan them, market them, operate them, and finance them. Hence the platform that we have, oneclickadvisor.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So before we get to that, because I'm really interested, I always see you posts and stuff like that. What made you build a house in West Tampa from all the other places in Tampa? Because let's be honest, West Tampa is it's a very interesting place. A little bit of hood, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So
makes it interesting.
Yeah,
makes it fun.
Yeah.
It's also a no kidding secret, is it not?
Yes.
I mean, that's the best location in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, from where we, from
Yeah.
the gym and where I live, it can be downtown in 5 or 6 minutes. You can be at Armature Works in 5 minutes. You can be in Ybor City in 8 minutes. You can be at the airport in 8 minutes. You can be in South Tampa, Hyde Park in 8 minutes or so. Or you're right there by the highway. So as long as, you're willing to endure some, foolishness.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the crime, the loud music, and all that stuff that was there for a long time.
Yeah.
It's cool. But the upside is, hey, unfortunately the city cracked down, but you'd get some great barbecue. Just, those people making on the corner. Remember that? They'd have these big, guys be selling barbecue.
Yes.
And I'll tell you something else about being in a bad neighborhood. That's where you find the best tacos. Wouldn't you agree?
There's a taco. There's a little
restaurant.
taco place out there, and we've been trying to go, but we haven't been able to because I don't want to do it because the guys are always especially before fights, everyone is on the diet, and stuff like that. So I kind of I don't want to go out there and just kind of be like, hey, look, because they're gonna hate me. So then. How does that One Click Advisor comes about?
One Click Advisor happened because I was a small business development center consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Small Business Development Center is funded by the Small Business Administration and universities and counties and chambers of commerce and banks and that sort of thing. And it's free for the general public. There's no charge. You can go in and you get classes. For example, if you walk into a public library and you see on the bulletin board, free business planning class night, I was the one that taught that. That's what I did. So people would come in and then they'd ask for help and I'd help them build a business plan. I taught classes on business planning, marketing, starting businesses, bookkeeping, even digital marketing, all that. And then I started noticing I was having the same conversation again and again and again. Not only from being, in the bank, but I would say, oh, you want to start what kind of business are you looking to start? Customer would answer, well, how do you plan on getting paid? Are you going to take credit cards? Are you going to invoice your customers? How's that going to work? Customer would answer. How do you plan on rating the cash register? How do you plan on making money? Well, here's my marketing plan. Then people would really not understand marketing very well. It's the 4 P's of marketing: price, product, promotion, place. Seems simple enough. If you get them right, you'll be a billionaire. Most people don't get that right. Most people think marketing is nothing more than signage and advertising, and but that does no good if you're talking to the people that are not going to buy your product. You have to zero in on them, niche down as deeply as possible, because the riches are in the niches, right? So anyway, I would have the same conversation over and over and again. Help people build their financials. What are your financials going to look like? What is this business going to cost you? Oh, $10,000 a month? Okay. If the business is going to cost you $10,000 a month, your profit margin is $4 for every widget you sell, divide your revenue goal by by $4, and how many of these little $4 profits do you need to make? And then, if your goal is $10,000 a month, and you are open for 20 days a month, that's Monday through Friday times 4 weeks, that's 20 days, you need to make $500 a day. Now let's go back to your marketing plan, figure out how to do that. So I would have this conversation over and over and over with people. People don't know how much their utility is going to cost, how much their payroll is going to be. People don't, be amazed when people just don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
People might be good at setting up websites or, making videos or whatever it is, but they don't know how to make money off of it and turn it into a business, professionalize it correctly.
Yeah.
And then one day, something kind of unrelated. I was on Expedia, and I was making plans to make a trip somewhere. You know how Expedia works. It's a meta search engine.
Yeah.
Search engine within a search engine, or within a website, basically. You say that where you want to go, and then you say when you want to go, and it gives you options for airfare and a hotel and a rental car, et cetera, and you pick what you want, you check out. Expedia gets paid on commission. And it dawned on me that you can have that same conversation automated with people about getting a loan, about incorporating, about building a website. So I went and I got advertising agreements with some of the best providers that I could find. You've heard of them, LegalZoom, LivePlan, business planning software, Microsoft. They advertise with us. And of course, when people take certain actions like getting a quote or clicking and buying, that's how One Click Advisor makes money. We simply automated the small business consulting conversation, if you will, and we help walk people through all phases of a business, and we do that by a meta search engine. It took 3,000 conversations with these business owners to come up with the right questions to ask people to get them to the right solutions. It's all about asking the right questions.
Yeah.
It's all about asking the right questions. Hence,
The book.
99 questions to ask before starting a business in the U.S. This came about when I wrote this. I was sitting around with an immigration attorney named Renata Castro, who also helps people come to the United States and start businesses via E-2 visas, EB-2 national interest waivers, E-5. These are various immigration. We don't need to go into the technicals of what those immigration pathways are, but quite simply, people would not ask the right questions. Someone might say, "I'm gonna come to the United States and I'm gonna start an acai business." We all know what acai are. I mean, we're all healthy people. We all probably eat acai berries, but that never quite took off here in the United States. And someone from Latin America might say, "Well, no one's done it right yet. I'm going to do it right." Well, not so fast,
Yes.
Maybe think of something else. If that's not selling in the United States, you got to figure out why. Not asking the right questions. So between all of my business consulting experience and all of her immigration, entrepreneur immigrants, trying to come to the United States, we came up with the right questions to ask to help you guide yourself to the right answers. So you come up with the right answers yourself and start a business and do it correctly. 99 questions to ask before starting a business in the U.S. by myself, James Chittenden, and renowned immigration attorney, Renata Castro.
There you go.
Thank you for letting me plug this.
Well, absolutely, dude. That's what. Now, what about this book right here that comes with it?
I am so
Is that
glad
like a
you
companion?
asked. Yes, it does. So if you buy this book, you'll notice that there's a little ad and a QR code, right? And the QR code is something that you scan, and if you do, then you can receive a copy of Public Triumph, Public Relations for the Strong and Those Who Want to Be. This book is about anyone who is looking to use the media to build your business. So you can use the media to build your business. It is the most credible way that you can get publicity for your business. I mean, there's a public relations firm called Edelman.
Yeah. And
they frequently have it's about credibility and trust. It's a survey that they ask everyone. And time again, 80% of people are much more inclined to believe something about a business if they read about it in the newspaper or saw it on TV. That's much more credible, whereas like 20% of people believe what they hear if they heard it from a celebrity endorser or an athlete or an
Yeah.
actor or something
Yeah.
like that, if someone else is writing it about you, then it's a lot more credible. Media attention is like lightning. It's something that can give you incredible power if you can harness it, but it can also destroy you if it's not harnessed. So, get media attention on your terms. Public relations for the strong and those who want to be. The public triumph. Yours, complimentary, with just shipping costs, when you buy 99 questions to ask before starting a business. So, we'll help you start your business, we'll help you publicize it, get your phone ringing, get you making a good living for yourself, your family, and your employees.
That's awesome, dude. That's freaking. How long did it take you to write those books?
This one I wrote The Public Triumph in 2014 because when I was in the military, I was a public affairs officer. It was my job to give statements to the media, and I published a base newspaper. And you know, when you're walking around with a whole lot of knowledge, especially someone like you, man, you know, Coach Daniel, right? I mean, you got all this great stuff in your head, you know, all these, I know because you coached me 14 years ago and you taught me a lot of things. When you're walking around with all this knowledge in your head, and you too, you know, I mean, if you got all this experience and sometimes you're just dying to get it out on paper, just find a way to get it on paper. So one day,
I try, man. I try, but every time I start like typing,
mm-hmm.
I start going into a different topic because I'm trying to like kind of like just hone in into like just one topic and just stay on it.
That's all right, man. Whatever comes out, get it on paper. You can clean it up later. And even if you're speaking into a microphone so that it gets transcribed later, which is more and more accurate.
Be better,
yeah, that's it, man. You can write a book while sitting at a red light.
Yeah.
You know, just record your thoughts, get it down on paper. You can clean it up later and organize it later.
So how long did it take you to write that?
This took me about 2 months. And I swear, I got 1/3 of it done in one psychotic weekend in which I didn't sleep.
Wow.
I just sat at home and I grew a beard and it just came out, right? When it was done, I felt like I'd given birth to a pineapple.
Yeah.
But I knew that I finally gotten it out of me. You need to do the same thing. And if you're watching and you got some good ideas in you need to do the same thing too.
Absolutely.
Get it out of you. Get it on paper. Get it published. It's easier than ever these days.
Yes.
Gone are the days where you have to go to Random House and have them approve it and make you buy mass quantities of your book and all that stuff. No, you can do it on Amazon. You can self-publish on Hay House, which publishes Russell Brunson and Dan Kennedy and other great business coaches. And you can do it yourself. All right.
So the publish is a lot easier nowadays.
Correct. Yeah, you don't have to go through you don't have to go through publishers' processes anymore.
Yeah.
You can do it yourself. Now, are you going to make a whole lot of money at it? No. For the most part, if you want to make money writing books, chances are your life story isn't going to do it unless you've got a really crazy life story, like The Wolf of Wall Street, for example.
Yes.
He wrote that book when he was in jail. These days, basically, if you want to make money, it's usually nonfiction or it's usually fiction, maybe a sexy vampire novel or something. In this book, yeah, I mean, I get enough royalties to maybe go out on the town, a couple of times a month, but you don't do it for that. You do it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like
when
for,
you got something
for me,
to share.
like I want to write a book, and more so because it's not even about the money like that. It's for me, like even though I'm a college graduate and stuff like that, I feel like writing a book, it kind of like working my master's or my PhD, kind of like giving me that. You understand what I mean? Like kind of like putting a little bit of knowledge, life experience, right, and just sharing that with other people. And hopefully they might be able to relate.
Absolutely. In fact, there was this guy named, you remember Forrest Griffin?
Yes.
Who fought in the UFC. I mean, he's long since retired.
Yeah.
That sport is hard on people. It's got a short shelf life. A lot of these athletes do. But he wrote a book that was a lot of fun. It's called Got Fight.
Really?
Yeah. It was named after Got Milk, the old advertising campaign for dairy products. But he wrote one called Got Fight, and it's a fun read. He doesn't just talk about his fights because no one really wants to read about just the fights.
Yeah.
He talks about his childhood.
Yes.
And let's face it, a lot of fighters, including myself, some of us had rough childhoods.
Yeah.
That's what got us into fighting, right?
So we go based on that. We go back to your childhood.
Yeah.
Your parents, were they business people?
My dad was. He was a stockbroker.
Okay.
My mom was not. I had a stepfather who was an attorney. I mean, they weren't poor. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, lots of kids. This is the days before social media, but it wasn't uncommon it was a lot more common for kids to go out and do physical things.
Yes.
A couple of generations ago.
Mm-hmm.
Back then it was, kids would go out after school and they'd climb trees, they'd fall out of them, they'd play football, tackle football without pads, they'd roughhouse, they'd fall out and they'd get dirty, come home for dinner and then do their homework and go to bed, right? Now, kids break more easily because they're inside more. They're playing.
They don't have scars on their knees.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so it's guys like Brandon, your fighters. They maybe had a more old school.
Yeah. Were they, let's say, a major influence in like how you?
My parents.
Yes. Your stepdad and your parents. Like in like the path that you took,
In ways that I resented, yes. I resented my dad. The first time I ever went running, I was 10 years old because my dad, he was punishing me for something, so he made me go run. So you go run to the end of the block and back. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And he made me, right? Also, my dad was a wrestler. He was a champion wrestler. So sometimes he'd get mad and he'd manhandle me a little bit. He was never abusive or anything. He was just trying to toughen me up. My mom, on the other hand, she wasn't like that, but my mom would never let us eat junk food. I mean, for example, kids, they go to the store and they want the sweets and everything. And I would go to the grocery store and it's, Mom, I want the Fruity Pebbles like all the other kids get. And my mom's rule was, if the box of cereal has a cartoon on it, you ain't getting it. So I had to eat good stuff, and I thank her for it because she was right. She made me eat the greens and the clean proteins and everything, and we're all better off because because of that. Fighters, they grow up the same way. But still, I was a little bit smaller. I matured slower. Physically, maybe mentally too, but anyway, I matured slower, and as a result, I find myself getting in fights in school, and that's what got me into boxing when I was 15.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No one. People rarely get into boxing or MMA or wrestling for positive reasons.
Yeah.
People rarely do that. Yeah.
I always tell people, and I say this in a good way, but I think for you to get involved in any type of combat sport, where there's like contact, like boxing, and you're gonna get punched, kicked, submitted, taken down, and stuff like that. Like you're different. Yeah. You have to be a little different from everybody else. Yes. Who says I want to go there and get punched in the face or get kicked or get taken down? That's not like normal. Like people don't think like that. No. So obviously there's always have to be something in your background where like it kind of like triggers that, to go in that direction. So you start boxing when you were young. When do you join the Marines?
When I was 17.
17? Like because you wanted to? Or?
I just needed something different. I needed to grow up. I mean, it's probably the only sound. I quit boxing. Mm-hmm. I boxed for maybe, I don't know, just a few months when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I liked it. It transformed my body, my self-confidence, everything. All for the good. And then I quit doing it. I started partying. And, I knew I can't go to college. Yeah. I'm not grown up enough for that. That's why I joined the military. It's probably the only sound decision I made the whole time I was 17 years old. It's the best thing I did, though. So I did that. And it helped put me through college, and I did all that while I was either in the reserve or on active duty. And
so it helped you out.
Oh, big time. Tremendously. Yeah, it really did. So,
do you get deployed at any point, like when you were in the Marines, or?
I did.
Where you go?
I went to the first Gulf War in 1990 and 1991.
Yeah. I remember that clearly, yeah.
No, I do too. That was nasty, but it was And then when I came home from that, all I wanted to do was party.
Oh, I bet. I mean,
My
you have to
goodness. Yeah.
truly, because I had a friend that he was a Marine, and he was out there at one point, and
Was he from Tampa?
he's from he was I don't know if he's still down in Miami, but that's where his family's from, and but he was in Tampa for a little while, young guy, and I remember him coming back and sharing little stories here and there because I never wanted to ask too many questions because I don't want people to kind of like relive those things, right? And obviously the Marines, they were like out there going into buildings and all kinds of things, but he came back and he had to decompress for a while, because like you come back with a lot of emotional baggage, psychological, emotional baggage, and obviously some people can be a little tougher than other people, and kind of like overcome for most part. But there's other people that they crack, if they don't get the right help and stuff like that. And so, but he had to decompress for a while. So like when you say that you came back and you were just partying and stuff like that, that was your way of like unplugging and decompressing. I'm pretty sure,
It'd blow off steam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd blow off steam for like several months.
Yeah.
In fact, everyone did. Everyone
I
came
bet.
back weirded out from that.
Yeah.
Even though it was a relatively short war,
Yeah.
everyone came back all weirded out from it. So I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
In some ways, but I noticed something. I went back in and I got commissioned, and I was an officer, and we trained recruits at Paris Island. And I began noticing some things that a lot of kids joining the Marines had in common with kids who fight, who get into combat sports. A lot of them, maybe they had some athletic ability, but a lot of them also had, in fact, just about all of them, I'll go ahead and generalize, all of them had some sort of anger issues. Some sort of anger issues, something, and who doesn't have anger issues, really? No, everyone has it. Everyone has to work through that at some point in their life. And for some, either military service or combat sports or some other rough sports is a good way to get that out of you, to burn the fat off your body and your soul. I would notice that a lot of Marines, especially like infantry types, are the ones who really want to go out and be where the action is, on the point of the spear, as we used to say, have a lot in common with MMA fighters. And as a result I just feel very comfortable around those, just like you do. They're terrific guys. They're flawed like everyone else, but most of them are terrific. And that's what Forrest Griffin talked about in his book. He said all fighters had terrible childhoods. I don't know if that's true or not.
Everyone is like damaged in a sense, emotionally damaged, like when you're a kid. And obviously with time and with age, you overcome it. But it's still there, you just your wires are just connected differently because of that.
Yeah, you got to use it though. Use it like jet fuel.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
achieve things,
Absolutely.
That's what it's. That's the purpose of it.
Yes.
Not to. it's to get you to. It's to get you. It's to get you to achieve things that you wouldn't if you were comfortable.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's like business. I feel like because I went to college and graduated with a degree in engineering management, and so a lot of that had to do with corporate behavior, like a little bit of psychology here and there. At the same time, it had to do with corporations, culture, a lot of things like that. And to be honest with you, man, everything comes down to like utilizing that for, and like you were talking about people that know how to hustle, but they don't have a plan in place, right? They don't know. So that's what they use. They wire differently, and they're good. I know a lot of people, they're good at making money. They're really good at making money. But when it comes down to the operational, when it comes down to everything else, they have no clue.
Nobody does everything right.
Yeah.
No one.
And they have
no
to
one's got
hire
the skills. Yeah.
and they have to hire the right people to run those things for them.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to like creating money and going after money, they make it happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like I always tell people, like C students are usually the ones that like hustle and go out there and they don't overthink it, because I feel like a lot of times when, like, I never wanted my kids to be geniuses, for example,
Right.
because like that's borderline crazy, right? But at the same time, is like when you too caught up on like being the A student and this and that, you start overthinking everything. You overthink this, you overthink that, right? But the C students, they're like, you know what? I want to make money, and they just go and make their money. Like they put like they talk less, they think less, and they act upon it. You know, they just go and hustle, and that's like going back to what you were saying. You know, a lot of people they have the idea, they have the will, they go after it, but everything else is not in place. Right. And that's what you help them with, to balance that.
Yeah, I mean, people would say, "Oh my God, I've got to go and rent office space, and I don't know if I can pay the rent because I got no customers yet."
Yeah.
No, you don't have to rent office space.
You can do it from home.
Use a co-working space.
Yeah.
You know, maybe pay $100 a month, or you can do it from home. Not only that, you get a tax break for doing it.
Yes.
And here's how you get the tax break. Oh wow, I didn't know that. Now this business is going to cost me that much. Sometimes we add up exactly what this business is going to cost and just simply watch their reaction. If I tell someone the business is going to cost $10,000 a month, you would watch them. If their eyes would light up, like, that's no problem, I can do that. Mm-hmm. Or some people, they would look defeated. You know, it's all in the reaction. Yep. You know, yep. and that's how you can tell who's going to do well with it or not. But yeah, hustle culture. I think a generation or two ago, what was the plan that we're all supposed to follow? Especially us gringos, right? Mm-hmm. You're supposed to do really, really well in. I mean, there's still places that are like this. Yeah. My kids got to do well in nursery school so they can get the best. Elementary school, they've got to do well there so they can get the best. High school. It's got to be this public high school or this private school, for example, or for that matter. And then if they don't do well there, then they won't get into the Ivy League, and then their life is just gonna. Then they'll just be a failure because they have to go to the state university or something. Yes, there really is that sort of, snobbery, sort of, a mix of snobbery, fear, and maybe keeping up with the Joneses.
Yes.
And and then after that, you've got to go and get the right job, and then you've got to get married. Okay, and that is the path that people would follow. And then you start to see people who did get Ivy League degrees who don't do all that well, and then you see people who came from really bad neighborhoods, either in this country or other parts of the world, who do very well. Everyone complains about immigrants who come here, and then why is it they're doing better in 5 years than most people who were actually born here and raised here? Because, comfort and complacency is really bad for you. If you... Being broke, on the other hand, can be very good for you.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Being broke, being in danger, all those things are very good for you. Maybe in some ways that's better training than the Ivy League can give you.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why...
Gives you better tools.
And that's why even with the fighters, I try to keep everything pretty humble. Yeah. Like, even the gyms, I don't like no state-of-the-art gym, nothing. Because I think it takes away from, like, feeding that fire.
Yes.
You remember the old hurricane?
Oh, I love that place.
It was hot in there, wood everywhere. It was always steaming.
It smelled bad.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in there except guys working hard, right?
That's it. Like you walked in there, all you smell is like sweat.
Yeah, the bags are all hanging there. They're torn apart. They got duct tape holding them together. Yeah. That's where you want to be. If you go in the place and they got a juice bar and they got lots of cute girls with ponytails and yoga pants, you're in the wrong place.
I call them social media.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. If you're trying to do fitness and you want to go out there and sweat, that's a place for you.
Right.
But if you're trying to be competitive and you're trying to achieve something as a fighter, like, that's not the place that you want to be in.
You'd be around champions. You want to be a champion.
Yeah. And like, and because when you go to places like that keep you humble, like, everyone's going to pick on each other. They're going to keep, and through their jokes, they kind of keep you in place. Yeah. They'll say certain things, and it's not that you're being bullied, but jokingly they'll tell you like, "Hey man, you smell bad. Hey man, like your jab sucks. Hey man, like you need to duck under. Next time I'm gonna hit you. Things like that, and they keep you humble. Like they get in your space, like they get in your face, and they kind of like tell you things like that.
Yeah, I mean, a mentor is, you don't want a cheerleader. A
Yeah.
cheerleader loves you like you are. A mentor loves you too much to let you stay the way you are. And that's how guys,
Say that again. Say that again.
A cheerleader likes you just the way you are, loves you just the way you are. A mentor loves you too much to let you stay the way that you are. We all need mentors. We don't need cheerleaders.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if a guy is insulting you by telling you that you smell bad or that your jab is bad, it's counterintuitive for a lot of people. But that's how guys show affection for each other, friendship, and concern.
Yeah, and let me tell you, man, I admire you because you stay pretty busy. Like you do different things. You work with a commission. At the same time, you try to compete us whenever you're able to. And sometimes you don't really have all the time in the world to train, right? So you got to kind of like what do you call it? Rush it. Right? Like you got a smaller window and you got to go out there and just give everything on a daily basis in preparation for you to be able to go out there and go to the tournament, right?
Yeah.
And so
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Hey, but you know what? The beauty of it is like you doing what you want to do.
Right.
Like that's what it comes down to. And a lot of people don't pursue those things. A lot of people, they get stuck on what you were saying, older generations told you go work 9 to 5, go to this school, do this, do that. So you're trying to please everyone else, but you're not pleasing yourself. You're not pursuing what you feel that you want to do.
Right.
Whether you being an artist, a musician, whatever it is you want to do. My oldest son, he graduated from high school with honors. And he's got his own little business. He said, like, Dad, I don't want to go to college yet. So I was like, don't. But he's got his own little business, doing it well. My second son, he goes to work. But you know what? But this kid was so smart. Like, he didn't even need to study when he went to high school. That's how smart he was. But I think everyone blossoms differently. Yes. And they blossom at different times. So you got to give them a little bit of space. I tell my oldest, hey, at some point, make sure that you do go to school. Pick up some college certificate classes, like where they teach you a little bit about business, a little bit about this and that, so you understand the language and the technicality behind it, and the same thing for my other son, like, but I want him to become more like have that entrepreneurial mindset, and go out there and pursue whatever they want to pursue. But at the same time, it's good if they go pick up some classes. I don't believe in that whole college thing unless you're going for sciences. But a lot of things like management, business, if you become an apprentice and you find a good mentor, you can become a good business person, a good manager. But a lot of people, what's happened, they try to go from A to Z, and they don't want to become apprentices. They want to become the mentors right away, but they don't have the experience to become the mentors, right. And so they become tormentors instead of mentors,
That's good. I like that.
And that's what happens because they trying to cheat the system. They're trying to go from A to Z, and that's not how it works. I always tell people, if you were never a good follower, you will never be a good leader. Because you never knew how to follow. So how are you going to become a leader and tell someone how to learn how to follow and how to listen, how to embrace knowledge, how to embrace information? So and I always see things like that. What is a good thing that you would recommend people trying to start up a business per se? Like they have an idea, they know what they want to do. They probably already started experimenting a little bit, But what do you suggest to them? Like what should be the next few steps that they should take in order for them to make the business legit? To have everything on paper, to have everything, like lined up, like to have things in place so they understand how much money needs to come in, how much money needs to go out, and things like that.
First of all, that would be the subject of a whole different podcast episode.
But something basic.
In short, I mean, you what did you say? Experiment with little things, micro experiment.
Yeah, micro experiment.
That's a good way of doing it. You think you're going to go in one direction, then take a few steps in that direction and see how it works. And if you start to make progress, if something unfolds, it's promising, pursue it, and then keep on doing that. Most people, when they start businesses, they don't have a great deal of money. So, there were certain things that I would tell people to do in order to test the market. Come up with a survey. The survey might be, here's my product. Would you buy this? Would you use it? How much would you expect to pay for it? And then I would send them walking up and down 7th Avenue, just stopping random people and not come back until they've gotten 100 questionnaires. Now you got some data points you can work with. All right, that's one way to do market research. It just depends on where you're doing it.
Yeah.
Though. I mean, you got to do it at a wide range of people. Second of all, another way that you can test the market is, let's say that you're making bread or jelly at home. Go use a farmer's market. For a nominal entrance fee of maybe $50 or $60 a day, a tent and a table, you can test your products in a relatively relaxed and informal environment. Start taking notes about who stops by and buys from you. What's their, I know racial profiling is bad, but in marketing, it's absolutely essential.
Yeah, the demographics. You got to check your demographics.
Take note of the people that stop and are interested in your product.
Yeah.
What is their ethnicity? What is their gender? What is their age range? What do they have families or not? Are they single? And also take note of people who walk by and don't take any interest in you. Is there any sort of demographic pattern that you can spot there? So once you have an idea of who you should be marketing to, because that's really more important than anything. Now you got to sit down and plan exactly what this business needs to cost you. If you want to make a certain salary, you need to build that in. If you want to make a certain profit level, you need to build that in. Plus all of your rent, if applicable, your phone bill, your insurance, all that stuff. Those are fixed costs. You're going to get them every month. And then, from there, you know how much money you need to make. Now you need to turn around, go to your marketing plan and figure out exactly how to sell enough of your product so that you make your revenue goal. Do that, you got it licked. Yeah. There are 3 things about running a business, okay, when it comes to business planning. 1, marketing, because it brings in the customers. Marketing brings in the customers. A lot of people don't understand how it works, but marketing brings in the customers. 2, operations keeps the customers. A lot of people don't know how to do that, but all you really have to do is think about a business that you use regularly, that is consistent, and that you admire. Chances are they have some systems in place that enable the place to run in the absence of the owners. So a well-operated business is making you money while you're on vacation or asleep. People are swiping debit cards and buying from you while you're asleep. You do that, you have a well-operated business. So marketing brings them in, operations keeps them, finance is the scoreboard, keeps you paid. All right. The reason I say finance last is not because it's any greater importance, but it's because as a banker, I can tell you that people who come in and ask for money first before they've solved a problem are doomed to fail. So solve a problem, then ask for money. That's why I say finance comes last. So come up with your break even, go back and figure out what it takes to market, operate the business so that you make your revenue goals. That's it.
So I like that. I mean, obviously there's a whole bunch of stuff, but if anything, they need to go and buy your book. So they get some of those answers too.
Basically, I systematize it all with oneclickadvisor.com.
Yes.
It is a system that does exactly that way. Helps you put together your marketing plan, helps you put together your operational plan, and then helps you plan out what your financials are going to be. And by the way, we also only use the best vendors and professionals. All right, we only refer
quality
things that we've tested ourselves. Yes,
that's awesome, dude. And so besides that, what else are you doing lately?
That's plenty right there. I know Golden Gloves are coming up.
So you're gonna be getting ready for that?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna come in and spar with Brandon again.
But you gotta take it easy on Brandon, man.
Oh, he's gotta take it easy on me, man.
He's a wild man right now. Look, he's growing that beard and stuff.
I'm intimidated by that. He's got the beard.
He's been living in
he was
the
good
wild.
before, but yeah.
No,
He's
man.
got that great Norseman look, doesn't he? You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I try to. I'm always trying to convey this message to the fighters. I'm always telling them, like, you guys got to understand that you are a brand, right?
yes,
And you guys have to understand that you have to market yourself
yeah,
because number one, you need a big a following in a sense, right?
yeah,
The fans, and at the same time, it can create other opportunities. Like someone out there, let's just say Calvin Klein or whatever, might see you and be like, you know what, that's the look that I'm looking for to wear my suits, for a
right,
photo shoot and things like that. And for sponsorship, I tell them to kind of like share a little bit about their lives and things like that, so sponsors can see what they're about. Not just show the fighting and fighting and fighting. They got to show a little more about themselves. But they have for some reason, it kind of like they're blocked. Like they're when it comes down to marketing themselves, it's so hard for them to do it. I don't know why. And I tell them, and I hit them with a hammer in the head. They'll have dents on their heads, but I don't know why. It seems to be so hard, and it doesn't take very long, especially nowadays with all this technology. You creating a little video for yourself, or talking, or sharing a little bit of your personal, like your daily life. A moment of it. Whether it's how you diet, how you exercise, what times you go to the gym, little
yes,
things like that. But they have such a hard time. I don't know why they don't understand that is so important that they promote themselves and they advertise for themselves, because this is their business. This is their 9 to 5. They have to schedule things and make sure that you fill in certain things, like, hey, I'm going to post up on Facebook, or I'm going to post up on Instagram, or I'm going to do a video on YouTube, and little things like that to promote themselves. What do you recommend to people like that? They have that blockage. Like,
about
can you
promoting
make them
themselves.
see that it's important that they promote themselves, as a business, because they become a fighter you are your corporation,
Well, from working for the boxing commission, I'm the timekeeper, and I've been an inspector, but I've been around enough promoters to
Yes.
understand that you can be a great fighter, but if you can't sell tickets, then you're not gonna be on someone's card. I've seen people who are great fighters who don't seem to get anywhere professionally, and I've seen people who are mediocre fighters. This guy I knew a few years ago, he's pretty mediocre, but he worked in a bar, and it was one of those high volume nightclubs. He could sell 200 tickets from behind the bar. So he was always he always had a place on a promoter's card, even though his fighting may not have been that exciting to watch. So they want to know that you can sell tickets and draw a crowd. If you can, then you got to figure out ways to. And just like you said, share your life. Share your life with people. If someone wants to know how to throw a better jab, make a short YouTube video. How to throw a better jab in 1 minute. Mm-hmm. How to who was that guy? Paul Barrow, I think it was.
Paul,
Remember they worked at the lobster place, and he was always making these superfood salads.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's that's a good thing you can teach right there.
Mm-hmm.
how to make something good that gives you power and strength so that you can train later. I think all fighters can agree that if you're always putting good stuff in, good stuff will come back out. If you're putting bad stuff in, bad stuff will come out.
And have the right attitude as well.
Right. And you're not going to do that if you're not paying attention to what you read, what you see, what you put in your body. And that encompasses a lot right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put the right things in, the right things will come out. Put the wrong things in, the wrong things will come out. And there's no reason that a fighter can't be giving tips on how that works. I read a quote by marvelous Marvin Hagler, who said that he sleeps well at night knowing that there are kids all over the place who are imitating him, and at the same time wondering what it is that he eats and how he sleeps. I mean, fighters have a lot to teach the world, and fighters are quite frequently very entertaining personalities. So, you want to market yourself? Just be yourself. Be yourself. Whatever that best feature of yourself is, get out there and market it. All right? And then you'll sell tickets. You'll grow a following. You'll sell tickets. And then it's off to the races. Hopefully you'll be wearing a major championship belt and a UFC contract or a World Boxing Association contract real soon. Just be yourself. Watch Muhammad Ali. Watch Mike Tyson. Watch all these other guys who have done what you want to do. And copy that, but put your own spin on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You get any future travels like in mind, or?
No, nothing. I mean, just things I want to do. I want to go to Antarctica. I want to go to the South Pole. I want to go to the North Pole.
All right.
I want to go to places. That,
Yeah.
I want to go to places that are not Florida. Not that Florida's not great, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's like August or September. This place is hell's front porch.
Yes.
You want to go somewhere cold.
Yeah.
So I was in Finland and Norway. I've been to Iceland, and how nice and cool those places are in the summer compared to what we have.
Yeah.
I've flown over Greenland. I haven't actually been to Greenland, but you look down, there's just like big white mountains all over the place, and it's crystal blue water surrounding it. Man, that looks like paradise. It's beautiful. I want to go down there. I want to see it.
Man.
So yeah, I just like to go to cold places.
Yeah.
I like to go to cold places, and I like to wear as little as possible when I'm there. I walked around, I've walked around, the Arctic Circle wearing this, just to prove to myself that don't get me wrong, I didn't do it for very long.
Yeah. But it was your challenge. It was your personal challenge.
We're always looking for ways to. All fighters do that, right?
Yeah.
You're looking for ways to challenge yourself, and okay, that was cool.
Yeah.
Enough of that.
Oh man!
You always try to prove to yourself and everyone else that you're tough.
I always see like these Russians out there, how they live out there in the wild, and they have like a lake
Yes.
in the back, and it's like snow everywhere, and they wake up and they go and jump in the lake, cold water.
Yeah.
Take a quick dip, and they come back out, and I always want to do that. That's pretty interesting. I mean, I do believe in cold water and all those things, so. That would be something that I would love to do. James,
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you coming around, brother. I really look forward to having you again. Oh, Brandon and I having you again. We can talk a little more about business. Obviously, and we can talk a little more about your book as well. Gino has to come around again too. And give us a little more about his book as well. There's a lot of good information. We hope to, like I was saying. We help to motivate and inspire other people, or give them certain tools for them to be able to continue growing. And obviously, if they have any questions or whatever, just make sure you guys visit One Click Advisor, and who's the bright mind behind it. So that's where you're gonna get your answers. All right.
Man,
thank you, brother.
It's always good to be with you.
Oh,
no matter
likewise,
in the
man.
gym, here, wherever.
Likewise,
Always is,
brother.
yeah.
I appreciate you, man.
Subscribe and like our page will put you in the game. The Beanbags Talk.